I'm back. YouTube let me in, so I'm back on YouTube. Look, I'm as happy to be back on YouTube as I used to be happy to be back on New Life when I had like a week break. But I had 3 weeks of break from New Life, and I'm like, перехотела. That's it. It's so interesting. I don't know if I'll come back there. I mean, I know I will upload some of my short videos still up there at some point, but honestly, bye-bye, пока-пока. It feels like it's done. The work on New Life has been completed. So interesting. Well, look, I have so much content here on YouTube. Then I have also a Rumble, and I probably have some other things to be on. But let's go back to the Oracle's exploration, because I have to finish it today. Yeah, it's 4:51. I'm tired and excited as well. Just jumped off from Dear David's coherence class, and I was on here all the time, and in the end of the class, when everyone left besides his agent was there, and I asked David, hey David, did you notice any difference with me today in your class? And he said, yeah, you were more present. And I'm like, well, I was online this whole time looking at some VC's websites, and I'm sure like you can still tell by the reflection on my glasses, right, that I'm switching, especially when it's like getting darker, like obviously stuff. And yeah, no, he didn't notice. But then his agent noticed. Yes, she did. It was so cute. She's like, I noticed. And I'm like, good job. Not, removing me. But David felt so, I could feel his energy just dropped. He's like, why would you do that? I'm like, I'm experimenting with dear David. I'm your walking experiment. Like deal with me. If you allow me into your space, like deal with me. Can't, and you beings who think I stalk you, get out. Ask David at this point. Ask David on what it feels like to be actually critically looked at. He's like, why would you do that? Tellor's unstoppable. Let's see. Yeah, look, I'm going deep into Tellor.
Tellor is a next-generation Oracle network that is open, community-driven, and unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Compared to other Oracle solutions, Tellor's structure and values are more aligned with the ethos of our emerging blockchain world. Tellor incentivizes a network of decentralized reporters who compete for an always filling jar of time-based TRB rewards plus user tips. This simple crypto economic incentive can get virtually any type of information published on-chain. Anyone, anywhere in the world can stake the required amount of TRB and become a Tellor reporter.
Tellor reporter.
Let's look at an example of how the system works. A user is on a blockchain protocol that needs data. It could be a prediction market, a lender needing a price feed, or an insurance protocol needing the weather. That user submits their request to the Tellor network, and if the data type is new or time sensitive, the user adds a tip. The reporters see the tip added to the reward jar and race to provide that data. The fastest provider updates Tellor's on-chain database and receives the time-based rewards plus half of the tip. The remaining half of the tip is burned. This is Tellor's liveness guarantee.
Burned?
Users can get data updated.
Give it to Natalia.ai. Don't burn it.
Wait, what happens if the reporter gives the wrong value? Any TRB holder can lock up some of their own TRB as a fee to dispute any reported value. After a dispute is initiated, the community has 2 days to vote on whether or not to reject the data.
What if community is
The user
dead?
simply queries
What
the
if they've
on-chain
been washed
database
away
again
by a big
for new
wave?
undisputed information, which automatically is tipped with 10% of the dispute fee. If the reporter was right, they take the disputer's
What if a land
dispute fee.
cracks?
If the disputer was right, they are
What if a
awarded the
big
reporter's entire stake. This is how
underground
reporters, users,
beep
and TRB holders work together
explodes?
to get real-world data on chain.
What are you gonna
using
do,
simple
Tellor? Tell me.
crypto-economic incentives and community governance. To learn more about the Tellor Oracle network and start earning TRB rewards,
Yo, you see, tell to earn. I don't buy it. It's just like my partner is not buying that I'm remembering him from the future. I'm not buying. I know that some people would, but I'm not buying it yet unless you just feed me actual food and give me places to stay. I don't even do fiat anymore, but I definitely don't do your Tellor coin, dear Tellor, which again, I love you, Tellor, but just don't. Give me a place to live. Give me a new passport. Give me a new passport. It would be nice and cute to have a new passport at times like this for nationalities of the Metaslavic conditions that we're in. Yeah, Tellor, I don't need your coin. I need some help. Invite me to your meetings more. Let me do some rebalancing work. Cute. You beings are still afraid of me. I don't know. Like, I'm just wondering when, this whole thing starts. I mean, it's all starting. It's just been like 3 years of like kickstarting. And David knows I'm like, how much longer? Oof. Okay. Let's go back to actual review. What am I looking at? I'm looking like an empty page. I honestly, I'm not convinced, Tellor. I love you. The team is cute. But honestly, can you be the good Oracle? Sneak peek feed. That's cool that you have all these presentations. Well, you see, like, we're back on YouTube all the time. What YouTube, Google, what are you gonna do?
Guest speaker lecture with our new friend Nick Fett. So Nick, I found a nice intro.
Someone
external API. You guys are
do something with the YouTube decentralized something with like, NataliTube something like way too many videos and all on one platform. What are we gonna do about that? Macro. Nick, I'm sure it's a good presentation. Okay, band Cosmos. Wait, is it on my list? Look, this list, you should have given me at least this list, like, please. I think it's on my list already. You oracles, I love you. You're my hope. Латвийская группа, nice. Yeah, it doesn't work. That's it. Okay, well, Maker, Uniswap. Wait, Uniswap as Oracle? Sure. Interesting question. Okay, if Vitalik said so, I guess that's what it become. Then Maker we got. Okay, everything else we got. Let's go.
Landscape looks like it's still really new because I'll be honest, the biggest sort of competitor that we have at Tellor, or who are we fighting against? It's basically the centralized Oracle. A lot of
fighting against, excuse moi. You fight against no one. No fights.
Anytime people are creating new projects, a lot of times people still will just use the team. It's to be their Oracle. If you guys saw, there was recently, I don't know how many of you follow like crypto regulations, but there was the Poly market. They were a derivatives prediction market platform, and they just got charged by the CFTC, and they said that you have to go register to be an exchange. Part of the reason was because you ran your own Oracle. You're centralized and you have to register as an exchange. So it's a big deal. The regulators are starting to crack down on it, make sure that you should be using a decentralized Oracle. It's what sort of sets you apart. And the reason that you're using a blockchain in general is so that you don't have some central intermediary.
Does it say don't use Chainlink?
That would be not good. But now, for you guys, I wanted to give you guys a bit of, okay, so like now we know some different designs of oracles, we can go look into them, but what do you have to think about whenever you're creating your projects? So if you're making a new derivatives platform like synthetics, or you're coming up with a new bridge, what are some things what are the challenges that you're going to face whenever trying to implement or trying to choose which oracle to use? The big thing that you have to realize is that there's a challenge. Like, it's just a consensus mechanism. We were talking about it. It's not necessarily difficult, but the problem is fast oracles. If you want fast, that's really hard. And I think what you'll see is this holds for oracles too. So I think you guys have probably covered this, right? Hopefully you guys have in your class, but this is the scalability trilemma. Anytime you talk about L1s, so that there's a trade-off. If you want to be decentralized, secure, and fast, you can't do all of them. And most of the times, if somebody came to you and was like, hey, I created this new blockchain and it does 10 million transactions per second and it's going to change the world, you guys would all be like, oh, that's bullshit. There's no way that you do that, because you obviously sacrificed on decentralization or security. That's how you got that speed. And since the basics is it's a consensus problem, and it holds for oracles too. And this is where we like to talk about there's like multiple layers of finality. So we'll do like the basic example of if you need a price feed. For the first question, which I probably won't go over in this talk, but it's more of like just a basic finance one, is, well, what should your price feed be? Should it be a median of 5 exchanges? Should it be just one exchange? Should you even specify an exchange? If you want the Bitcoin price, there's a really big difference between I want the Bitcoin price on Coinbase versus I want the Bitcoin price from 10 different exchanges as TWAP over the last 30 minutes. Both are the Bitcoin price, but they're very different, and they're going to have really big differences. And that's more of a financial question. But the first thing that you have to realize is it has some issues for your Oracle.
I love the fact that you're so minimal, though, on the website. You don't overdo it. That's so cute. Like, look at us. Yeah, just a tiny bit of data. That's all. You know, if you know it, you know it. It's minimal. It's nice. What else do we need? Another thing is, if you notice, I don't feature Discords here. I don't support Discord generally, not because I'm biased or there's something wrong on Discord. I think it's noise. It's a lot of noise. Like, okay, if somebody wants to be part of your DAO, then they will be proactive enough to know where to go if they want to be active there, right? And also, if somebody wants to be part of your DAO, do they really need to be part of your Discord? Be informed that way? Yeah, right? Like, let's think about these things. And Tellor, I'm not talking about you, and obviously it's you know, it's not a DAO here, but generally Discord stuff, I think it's over. But we're definitely overdoing it and over communicating it with, you know, Discord stuff.
You choose, hey, I just want to use the Coinbase price, then you might as well just allow Coinbase to be your oracle, because they can sort of censor you and shut down their API at any minute. But back to one of the bigger challenges as far as getting it fast, you basically have to wait for them to update. You have to wait for all of those sources to update. Then you have to place the value on chain. As you guys know with Ethereum, sometimes placing things on chain takes a minute. It's like just gas issues. And then also you actually need to verify the value. So any Oracle design worth their salt will basically allow you to have some mechanism for disputing it, or you're going to have some way to say, hey, it was wrong. Because whether it's Uniswap, whether it's Tellor, whether it's Chainlink, there's always like a cost to break something. If you think about Uniswap as far as being an Oracle, if you really wanted to, you could put a bunch of money in on one side and throw the price of Uniswap. You'll probably lose money if you're betting on some derivative platform that the price is going to be different. You can probably make a whole lot of money on there. So you have to assume that your Oracle can be wrong, and there has to be a way to say, hey, it was wrong, we're going to go dispute it.
3 people, founders?
And then so after all of these different things, now the value is finally usable. So we'll move on. So I think I just went over this whenever I shouldn't have. But this was just talking subjectivity is an important piece. So especially on the first piece, I don't know, I'll just pass it over because I've already basically read that slide. But this one, we're going to go back over chain inclusion. So whenever you're working with a bridge or a price feed and you have gas costs, the biggest risk for Oracle, so like you could attack Tellor's Oracle and say, hey, we're going to put bad values on chain. And that's,
look, you don't have the dates here.
So any Oracle could say, there's always a way to say like,
why
the Bitcoin price is going to be $10 million and then we're going to win a bunch of money in derivatives. That's going to be great. That's actually not the biggest risk to Oracles. That's usually crazy expensive on most Oracle designs. Like it's really hard to say that the Bitcoin price is $10 million. But what it's actually not that expensive to do is just to censor you from getting a block in. If you guys know right now the cost to 51% attack, I have it up here. If you wanted to stall and mine every single block on Ethereum for the next hour, you would actually think it's crazy expensive, but it's just over $1 million. It's not. Ethereum is actually right now higher than Bitcoin, which is another really cool thing. But it's not that expensive to mine every single block. And of course, you could mine every single block and do a 51% attack that they're going to say revert the chain. So you could say increase your balance of whatever and try and break the Ethereum chain, but that'll eventually get reverted after the hour. But for Oracles, what you could do is a more malicious attack where you could just say, hey, nobody's making any contract calls to the Tellor contract over the next hour, and just not allow any updates. And nobody would ever revert that. You didn't lie. You didn't say anything was wrong. So it would just basically, if your app needed an Oracle update within the hour, there's actually nothing we can really do about it. If somebody's willing to just mine every block on Ethereum, and this goes for every Oracle, whether it's Chainlink, whether it's even Uniswap, you could just prevent all contract calls to Uniswap for an hour.
Why do you have a logo Nike reversed?
But these are just some things to think about when designing your app. And so if you design some sort of DeFi application that say you need a price feed every minute or else this thing's going to break.
Good topics.
Like you can know right off the bat you're going to have a bad time. All right. So verifying Oracle data. So this was any protocol must have an ability to verify when the data is put on chain. So like we were saying, you need some way to just the time necessary that you're going to want to think about here is just how difficult
Tellor,
is it
I think
to
you're
verify
winning with
this
your presence
so
online so far.
Like whether it's the Bitcoin price, that's super easy to validate. You can probably say that the Bitcoin price was right.
Are you in New York or something?
Quickly, but other things you're going to have to wait for a bit longer. We were working with a project to bring over Bitcoin transaction proofs. And part of the problem with Bitcoin is that it's not final. It's kind of like we were talking about in the previous slide. So if our oracles put over some block header that's 10 minutes old, the first one, like it's probably going to be correct. You've had reorgs on Bitcoin that go back a half hour. That this is why if you've ever deposited money on Coinbase, they make you wait an hour.
The first recorded Tellor dev call.
So you deposit a whole bunch of Bitcoin on Coinbase, they're gonna make you wait an hour. We're just gonna make sure it was actually included in the block before you're allowed to do anything with it. Other things that take some time to validate and just things that are just harder to look up or more nuanced. There were some prediction market problems around the presidency. They ended there. So you have to really think about, okay, is there a way to put on some null value or say, no, we're going to kick it off and wait for 24 more hours or something like that. So This is me harping on just some of the best practices for oracles. So
best practices.
obscure data, allow more time. Subjective data, more time. Higher value secured, allow more time. This is just stuff that you should know. We were, if you guys saw, there was recently the wormhole hack. That was a big one in the news. Solana has a bridge and a bunch of the way that most
Bridge hacks, typical. Shouldn't be so.
Say a whole bunch of ETH on main chain Ethereum, and then it would say, hey, unlock this synthetic ETH over on Solana, and then people can trade around with it. And then in order to unlock your ETH on the main chain, you would lock the synthetic ETH, and then an oracle would pass it over to the main chain and give you that main chain ETH back. Unfortunately, they had a contract bug that broke everything, and hundreds of millions of dollars got stolen because people couldn't mint synthetic ETH. But the bigger issue was, you guys should go look at Vitalik. Actually had a whole bunch of posts on why the wormhole, that was the name of their bridge, was just an awful model. Because what somebody could have done is they could have deposited a whole bunch of ETH on Ethereum, with the whole chain on Ethereum, to say we never actually sent you any Ethereum. And Vitalik was warning about this right whenever they launched, but they hand waved it away. In a lot of ways, they said, oh, basically, because their bridge was just a group of 5 guys, I think, who were running the whole thing. And they're like, no, like we're the trusted party, and like we're making sure that it's legit. Long story short, when they got hacked, they lost, tons, millions and millions of dollars, and the companies backing Solana basically just paid it. They just made everyone whole.
I like you.
And I think they had $80 million of ETH like funded in the contract.
Have you changed your DNA?
Whole, and like within a day. It was absurd. So if you're really rich, you can hand wave over oracle problems. Yeah, it was absurd. So I don't know how much they made whole like within the day, but it was a lot. But so think about that next time you're using a bridge. Be careful. So now I'm going to get into quickly, we can do quickly. I'll tell you guys how Tellor works, and then we can do it. Then maybe we can do questions and then the implementation, or the other way around. I don't know. It makes sense. I don't know if we even have any questions, but
we got a long list of questions going into, or it's not that long. It's maybe 10 questions so far.
Okay.
And they may or may not be related to what has already been covered. Some of them were put there before the lecture started.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we can maybe do the questions, and then we can, depending on how much time we have left, then I'll do the walkthrough for doing Tellor.
How come I didn't know you had a Telegram?
Okay, let's do that.
That way. Well, because I could make the walkthrough depending on how deep into Solidity code we want to get. So it'll just be up to you guys. But quickly, how Tellor works. So we tried to build an actually decentralized oracle. So we got
technology and its founders.
I had started a derivatives protocol, and this was in 2017, and we were looking for an oracle. Couldn't find any good oracles in 2017, so we decided to just create our own. We just went from basic principles, like how do you actually have something decentralized. So you would stake, if you want to be a reporter, you stake our tokens. So you grab some TRB tokens and you stake it in a contract. And now you're allowed to report data. So somebody would come to us and they would say, hey, I would like the Bitcoin US dollar price. I'll pay you $10 worth of TRB to go get it for me. Now any of those reporters can submit the price of Bitcoin US dollar. Once they do that, it's a race. The first person to do it gets the reward. And then anybody can monitor the network and check whether or not they lied. So they can say, hey, the Bitcoin US dollar price is not $10 million. And then they would submit a small fee to dispute it. And then it would go to a vote as far as whether or not that person lied. If they lied, they get slashed. If they didn't lie, they get the dispute fee. For the users, it's nice and simple. They basically get this nice feed of Bitcoin US dollar price. And even if somebody does get disputed, so say, a bad reporter comes in and submits, hey, it's Bitcoin price is $10 million, they would just get the data again. Somebody else would report it. They could just tip again, and you don't actually have to wait 2 days for everything to go. You actually you might not even care about the results. It's about you're a one-off thing. So that's the way that Tellor works. We're definitely open to critiques, but we're on Ethereum, Polygon, just launched. We're on Arbitrum's testnet now, just launched on Harmony. And we're launching on Algorand for our first non-EVM chain, doing that next month. So slowly going all the chains, but trying to find users out there and get people to understand how to use oracles correctly and actually care about decentralization. So,
hey, just out of curiosity, how many reporters are on the Ethereum version of Tellor?
there's like 70, I believe. So it's crazy competitive on main chain Ethereum. Like whenever somebody comes and will say, it could be like, I think it's usually like, you have to pay, basically you have to pay for their gas. So to get a report updated, you have to make sure that you cover the reporter's gas. And then if it's like basically $1 more, all of the reporters have MEV bots installed to go and front run each other to try and get that $1 of profit. So it's definitely a tough game over there on mainnet Ethereum. So we're trying to work as far as how to decentralize it more. We've open sourced a lot of the MEV stuff ourselves to make sure that it is fair. But yeah, it's one of these hyper capitalistic models that sort of led to people, just really making it efficient, which is good for our users. So it's nice and about as cheap as it can possibly be.
Cute image.
So, if you feel like this is a good point to break and just field some questions, I can start featuring.
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
All right, I'm not going to go in any particular order. I'm just going to go by end. I'm going to go in the order that they were submitted in. So they may or may not align with what was just presented, but should be relevant. Okay, from Melville, we have major protocols rely on Chainlink to power their contracts. Are we just waiting for a Chainlink vulnerability to bring down half of DeFi? How worried are you about something like this?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think a lot of them do rely on Chainlink, but it's how do I think Chainlink's going to fail in the future? Do I think Chainlink's going to lie?
Excuse me,
like,
Nick.
Not. They could. You could, but like same with even if you were using Goldman Sachs.
Because they're not part of the alliance.
Do you expect Goldman
Should
Sachs
be part
to
of the
lie?
alliance.
Not necessarily. They're probably going to be honest. They're going to probably some revenue stream, and Chainlink's got kind of the cash cow of their tokens, so they'll probably be just fine and continue. I would hope that some people would say you would have more of the spirit of decentralization getting pushed in there. I think the regulations are going to play a big piece in forcing people for Chainlink to decentralize.
Excuse me, auditing company, where are you at?
So if you have a prediction market and they run their own oracle, that's illegal and you need to go register.
Certic is still alive. What about that one?
Over to one person.
What are you?
Who now has to go register? It's
2019 though. Let's give them a break.
Is it decentralized? Well, no. Is that if it's
3 years
just David, is that decentralized? No. If it's just Chainlink, do they have to go register? Maybe. And I think there's going to be some sort of pieces there where they might get in trouble. They've also had a lot of issues in the past with just staying up to date. I think some of their mechanisms are broken. If you remember, there was like Black Thursday a while ago where token prices fell by 50% in a single day. Like everything, like Ethereum fell by 50% in a day. So like other ones were down even more, and gas prices shot up to 1,000 GWay. The problem with Chainlink's people, where they have a whitelisted group of 21 people or something, who are providing prices, and all of their nodes were like, oh, it's expensive. Like, we're good. And the whole network kind of froze. And there's not really any benefit or loss for them as
Look,
far
Tellor,
as
you're featured everywhere.
Go away because they don't have slashing even on their network yet. It's not quite as big of a penalty to them. You know, Maker had a similar issues too. Maker has a whitelisted group of oracles, and on Black Thursday, their issue was the ETH price fell, and they knew all the Maker stuff was going to get uncollateralized. Shocker, their oracles took a little bit longer to update, so they could get their shit together and get things ready for it. And just those kind of, there's some weird kind of conflicts of interest whenever it comes to slashing oracles or even saying something's wrong if your reporters are tied to your token price and things like that.
Okay, I think that answer actually answered our next question in the line too, which was basically, I'm not convinced decentralized oracles like Chainlink are really decentralized. We may be saying that they're not. And the question is like, could you please convince me? We got map that question for Tellor too.
Yeah, I think Tellor, like, you can, there's two levels of decentralization. Like everyone will say, oh, it's a scale. I don't even think Chainlink gets on the scale, to be honest. There's the first piece of you're theoretically decentralized as far as Tellor, like I told you guys how it works. It's theoretically decentralized. And then you ask the correct questions as far as, okay, so it's theoretically decentralized, but now how many nodes do you have? What are the distributors of the nodes? How many, does the team hold 55% of the tokens? Like you would ask those questions next and then make sure that it's actually decentralized. But like Chainlink, I know they're like whitelisted still. If there's one guy with an admin key, like you don't even get to start asking questions about nodes. You got to throw that away first. So that would be.
Oh, look,
But there's some good
Tellor.
stuff on Chainlink. You can go.
Check this
Eric
out.
Wall
Your
is,
email goes
he's a
into
famous
my
Twitter personality,
media
but he's
list.
probably the most
Are you
well-known
ready?
Chainlink basher out there.
For this kind of pressure?
He just goes after them for their centralization, which is usually fair.
I'm going to take the next one in the line. It says, question about the centralization of third-party data. Data, particularly coming from a Web 2 and corporate-centric world, is generally owned by centralized entities. Would oracles then be responsible for determining the viability of the data by transferring it to the blockchain? How do you handle the centralization of real-world data that's being transmitted on-chain?
Completely.
On each.
Yeah, so it's so Tellor sort of works as far as, this goes into the one thing I was talking about, what's a good settlement price. You can have, if a user comes to us and they're like, I want the price of Coinbase on here, it's like, we can do that for you, it's okay. But usually you want the data to actually be subjective as well. So there's like, we try and tell people using a price feed, like, just say, what's the price of Bitcoin? Don't tell us where to get it from. Don't give us specifics. And then it's up to the reporters to go and find and pick a valid Bitcoin price. Of course, you have to be more okay with it's not going to be that exact specific thing. So if you're doing like a derivative product that wants to hedge the price on Coinbase, it might be, say, a poor substitute. But if you have more of these questions where you can get these from multiple sources, it's okay. That's why there's always the difference between what's the result of this API query versus something like if you wanted the weather in San Diego, what's the result of this API query that gets the weather result in San Diego versus just asking what's the weather in San Diego? And then you can get it from multiple places, and hopefully that should break it down. But it's one of those things where, yeah, like the more subjective your data is, actually the more decentralized it can be. So try and push for, say, DeFi applications or other applications that can have this more subjective kind of data that anybody can validate without relying on one single source of truth.
Cool. Okay. Next one. Can oracles secure networks with higher value than what's at stake in the oracle's protocol?
Yes, for sure. Tellor will only require you to stake $2,000 worth of tokens. But the problem is, if you wanted to break it, you would have to just break it basically you would get disputed, and then it would go, and then somebody else would put it on.
Okay, lovely,
and then
love
that
Tellor.
person would have to
We're
lie.
gonna go on.
So as long as anybody can dispute it,
Goodbye.
and especially with Tellor, so I guess with Tellor, the reason it's different.
I really like hearing you there, Nick, but I'm gonna have to move on. Я за тобой, навстречу я всегда, куда бы судьба ни вела. Я за тобой. Yo, this website really is old life, right? Like, it's too much information for whatever you're doing. They're killing. But also your own polka dot. So, okay, well, let's go. Let's go be serious. What do we really need here? Killing. I'm lost already, like it's way too much data, but let's go further and just read it. And hello, my video. Судьба не вела, я напишу тебя. Okay, so you're saying the layer 1 data infrastructure, okay, which is like what? Is it like the same as Oracle? Not really. For DeFi and Web3. Why would you say DeFi and Web3 is a separate thing? Cross-chain platform powering the data economy. Cute. Let's watch the video. Why are you not saying you're an Oracle killer?
Our greatest resource is not electricity,
It's
oil,
Natalia's
or
time. That's what
even
greatest
money.
resource.
It's data. But most of it is isolated in silos, too disconnected from the real world to make a difference. Crypto assets used to be idle too, with their value untapped by the market. Now, because of DeFi, they are powering a new wave of innovation in finance. At Kylan Network, we will
Kylan,
power
excuse
the
moi.
data economy, doing for data what DeFi did for crypto. Built on Polkadot, our cross-chain platform will unlock idle data sets, integrating their value into a groundbreaking decentralized data marketplace.
Wait, I watched this video before.
The resulting synergy between off-chain and on-chain data will give consumers and dApp builders a cost-effective solution they can actually trust over centralized sources.
Wait, I have a dollar sign in there.
By connecting the real world to the blockchain,
sign?
Kylan will lay the foundation for Web 3.0 and awaken the world to the power of D-Data. What will that world look like?
Kylan. I don't know. Would it look like Kylan? Be black and pink and white? Native Polkadot data blockchain to accelerate the world's transformation to D-Data within the Web3. But why you're not saying you're an Oracle? Is it because you're like by default Oracle? Okay, here we go. You have a marketplace, which is like data marketplace, I'm guessing. And then you have the Kylan Oracle off-chain workers. And then you have Kylan Analytics, Query Engine, and REST Server. And what is REST Server? Then it goes into OpenAPI SDK, and then it goes into the third-party app, and then it goes to data consumers, external analytics tools, one-stop shop for data assets. No, you're overselling it. Go back, look back at Tellor. Are they trying to oversell it? No. Are they being clear? Yes. Kylan can do better. Tellor, do you do any of this kind of analytics? Why don't you say it on the website if you do? Can you provide those? Marketplace. Everyone loves marketplaces, right? I don't know. So what you're doing here is you're selling your Kyle. I don't know. I think Tellor did a good job doing the work. And you're overselling it to me. If I ever hear staking, governance, and utility one more time, generally in the Web3 world, I quit. I'm tired officially of these words. Yo, Kylan. You're just like everyone else, and I don't like that. DAO game. Okay, let's see applications, use cases. First of all, I can't really read such small words. Cute that they say the NFT is the metadata structure of Web3. Yeah, just drop some machine learning in there and you're good, right, Kylan? D-data. Create a new word using decentralized before it. Can you put some dates on here, or are you just gonna be like dateless? Well, all I know is that Kylan has more investment than Tellor. Am I right? Oh, nice. We have some good people in the fireside chat. Can I please connect? Watch, please. Web3 PR agency that I am. I would like to watch it, please. Okay. I mean, let me watch it. You see, Kylan, you lost my attention. But wait, how are you connected with this? You tell me. How's Kylan connected here? Oh, because Polkadot, right?
We're bringing this to you live. This is a lockdown.
There's some really extremely, I'm just so compelled and curious to know that if there was some cross-pollination in terms of, inspiring your work, Gav, and here we sit on the precipice of Web3 and a more optimistic avenue toward, frameworks for governance. And I really want to know.
Not cool, deal Kylan, like having me to enter email to look at your
some of your thoughts about
freaking
is this an optimistic
white paper?
Avenue? What are you optimistic about?
Questioning if it's worth it.
If we can go on that, please.
First, thanks for inviting me on. It's lovely to be here and have the chance to actually interact directly for a little while. Revelation moment where I realized that this wasn't the whole Bitcoin and Ethereum, this consensus technology wasn't just a kind of a reaction to the incompetence of the regulators and bankers in 2008, but it was really a wholly different approach to interhuman interaction on a global level that addressed or that could address many of the
I thought I had it downloaded.
Issues that had come to light in a very dramatic way with these revelations, and I saw it as being very clearly a piece of technology that could really help society move away from these really sort of fundamental issues of trust. And so this sort of concept, this platform that could move society in this direction and addressed some of these issues, at least, was I felt deserved a different name to crypto and to blockchain, because it sort of brought in a few other things as well. It brought in elements of like BitTorrent and Freenet and Tor, right? It wasn't simply about the ability to have a free currency of the internet. This was about creating a whole new platform to eclipse the sort of traditional technologies that we'd used that were very authority-based. And so it sort of deserved to be called something quite different. And then it was like, what is it? It's the next iteration of this like massively multi-user application framework that we kind of call Web 2. So it kind of Web 3. And then it was also like, well, maybe it should be sort of named after the guy that sort of really shone a light on this and demonstrated that society really, really needs this technology. So, I was kind of in two minds. Post-Snowden Web 3 caught on.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, it's funny that you mentioned that, particularly that you mentioned the influences from sort of the prior works, the BitTorrent type distribution. Because I think back to the classical tradition, the idea of the great conversation that unites us over generations with the thinkers of the past. And each time as we think, what is the way forward to the better world, we take what we have. We take what's been gifted to us by posterity and prior work of our fellows, and then we try to challenge it, or we try to extend it, and we try to go beyond it. And when you ask me if I'm optimistic, this is why I'm optimistic. We had this beautiful thing in the internet that was given to us, not given to all of us. Some of you are old enough that you helped build it, right? But there is a countervailing force that has taken the internet to exploit it. They have accepted it as a gift to themselves, to the exclusion of everyone else. And I'm thinking of powerful forces here, whether they are governmental or whether they are corporate. And we actually see this, I think, beginning to distort the blockchain space quite clearly. I think all of you are much more familiar with it than I am, where we see a lot of projects that are being sort of manipulated or contorted or shaped or reshaped to be, as politely as possible, much more fair to the investors of the project than they are to the public in general. And I think that's a corruption to the ideals of the space, of the framework of what it should be, what it could be, and what, in my opinion, and ultimately actually my belief, it will be. And that's because you've got all of these projects, some of which are very cleverly self-serving, some of them are very transparently
self-serving. This is the OG, right?
And on the other side, you have more publicly serving alternatives. I think over time, over iterations, the common interest will win over the selfish interest. There is some benefit to selfish interest, right? We need to basically allow people.
Yo, Snowden has a weird way of talking, no? Yes, he does. I want to listen to that though, like in a bit. I want to focus on Kylan. I'm getting deeper in love by reading this white paper. White papers, rabbit hole, alerts. $15 out of 34. Maybe we should move a little faster. Oh, crap. Can I? We don't have a godlike technology, my lovely loves. I agree with the rest, though. You know what is godly technology? The way that I work with the artwork and crystals. Okay. What is happening on this website? You, Kylan, got me out of topic. Fun times. Okay, we're not gonna go in there, but... Okay, Kylan, where's your blog? Where's some entertainment and education? Besides the white paper project wiki. Human advisors. That's all you got for human advisors? Those are not clickable. I don't care what kind of names write about you. So tell me, what's the difference between wiki and docs? Hello. Look, I'm gonna still add this just because I feel like. Oh, okay, so this is your docs because you don't have the other docs. Am I right? Technical architecture. I don't know. Look, I don't feel like your team is huge, by the way. I feel like it's all written by one person. Kylan, you're overdoing it. In terms of the solutions that you're bringing out there. Don't you think so? You know, okay, top collaborators. Well, your top collaborator is Ed and Gavin. I don't know. Why not? I mean, I can trust you because Polkadot, right? Oh yeah, well, wait. This one is actually definitely shareable. One big thing I learned in my, tech startup career is that don't overdo it. And here I am overdoing it, but you know what I mean. Like, try not to focus on too many things. know if I should include the GitHub in here, but I will. Tellor, should I include your GitHub in there as well? Should I like format it for us? You see, another thing, I can't format it like all together. Yo, beings, who's gonna pay me for my hours spending this formatting? Sure, I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying myself all the time. Otherwise, I wouldn't be living my life. But please, like, give me some food and some nice passports. Please. And some beautiful living spaces and private jets.